You not only have done wrestling on YouTube now, you've branched out into merch as well.
Yeah, it's really cool hearing you kind of talk about this like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I think,
Privately, we had a call and you were like, Connor, I'm really excited about this merch stuff. And I was like, dude, it sounds sick. Because you were telling me about you building like a whole world around it. I was like, that's, man, we just put a logo on stuff sometimes. So
well, I mean, like I did that as well before. But yeah, so like with the merch stuff, like I'd have to give like a lot of credit to Otaku Versus, who kind of like, he sort of talks me, because I basically like I wanted to do merch stuff and I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do, you know?
Yeah.
And I got talking to him and like hearing like his like explanation of everything and like what it kind of was, it really opens me up to, it's like, man, okay. So I basically, like, I think like a lot of people, when I was like younger, I had this like story or like I wanted to make, and at different times it was like a comic book, a series of videos, a video game, and I was like, okay, yeah, you know, I want to do this thing. And then eventually I was like, okay, what am I going to do with this merch? Like, what if I made like a fake anime and pretended it was real and made merch out of that? And it pretty much just started from there. Started working.
Such a sick concept, by the way.
Yeah, there's been other stuff like Gorillas is kind of similar-ish, you know. So like I don't want to take like credit for that necessarily, but and like I was working on it, and then like I just explained it to one of my friends, Rebecca Brobex, on Twitter, and she was like, yeah, I'll give you a hand with that. And she started doing concept art for it, and like the day I sent her the descriptions for the characters and she sent me back the concept for the characters, I was just like, oh fuck, like this could actually be something. And it was so fun to work on. And like it's done well and people are into it, and like, you know, financially it's been like viable, which is great and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's actually something that really kind of, it made me kind of fall back in love with like content creation and doing stuff like that, because it added this whole other thing to it, and it's been really, really fun. And like right now I'm working on the 3rd run of it, which is like every run is like a new arc in this fake anime.
That's cool.
And this is like the arc where like the villain gets introduced, and like I'm so fucking you know, I never know how it's gonna go, but like I've been so excited about it.
So to explain your concept, in case you guys aren't familiar, you kind of like telling a story through your merch, right? And
that's so cool.
Built an entire world around it with characters. How long, okay, I gotta ask, how long did it take you from like, you said you had an idea of like stories you wanted to tell. How long did it take you to actually flesh out a world and a story that you wanted to tell?
So from the point where like I started doing it, I think to like the point where it's like it actually, we have a t-shirt design, I think that was about 9 months. And like a lot of, we basically with the runs we do like a kind of we do like a little zine of all the concept work and all the shit that never even makes it into the actual merch, you know, all like the kind of supplementary characters and like the world and how it all works. And so we basically just spent like 9 months building all that stuff up. Like whenever I think up a new character or something like that, I write down who the character is, what their place in the story is, and then their relationship to every other character. And that's all shit that like, that's never gonna make it into a t-shirt, or sometimes it does in weird ways, but it's the kind of thing where like, I always feel like when you're watching a show, you can always get a sense for when someone has thought about like every part of this world, and when someone is like kind of making it up as they go along. And I really wanted it to feel like the former. Because
sometimes, you know, that's why I like world building, because sometimes you watch a show and it feels like the world is built around this one character, and the stories I feel where they're truly magical is when you know, you turn off the episode or you close the book and you feel like the world is still taking place, the story is still happening,
like continuing on, right?
It's still continuing on, even if you like you are not actively taking a part in it. And the fact that you've just put that into your merch is like insane.
Well, like I think it's that kind of thing earlier where I was saying like having like a lot of interests really can feed into different things in different ways, because like one of the biggest inspirations from it was the York New City arc from Hunter x Hunter, which is just this fucking insane, just like chain reactions of events to the point you get to the end of it and it's like, what happened? And it's like, I don't fucking know, you know? But like, and like, it's so chaotic and insane, and it has like insane anti-climaxes and everything. But because Togashi has like thought about these characters so much, it all works and it's so compelling. And I love that idea, you know? And I was like, I want to make a t-shirt out of that, you know?
Yeah, and that's kind of like what some of my favorite moments, like One Piece, isn't like the actual arc. It's when like the arc ends, and then it like kind of like you get a hint about what else has been going on in the world.
It's the meanwhile, right?
Yeah. Meanwhile, and then you realize, holy shit, people are fighting fucking wars, and Luffy is just like chilling on this
there's
island.
One particular part, and it's when I think they get back from the Sky Islands,
right?
And there's like an episode or two which is just all the chain reactions that have been happening. And I remember seeing that for the first time and being like, oh shit, this is insane. You know,
for sure.
It's like, you know, you kind of realize, oh, maybe Luffy isn't the main character for like a moment, right? You're that's like One Piece is like fucking 30 main characters, and
totally.
Everyone's just like doing their own things. That's just what I love about One Piece, I guess.
Absolutely.
So whenever you guys mention me on this podcast, I get a flood of messages. And it's always interesting because I remember one of the ones, Garant, was your story about someone thinking we're the same person, or thinking one of my videos was your videos, and you getting into like an argument on that behalf. But I always think it's really funny when that happens. And there was one story I had that I just loved, and I think I might have told you guys this before,
right?
But it was a guy at MagFest, and it was just a regular meet and greet, and you know, he'd been queuing up for like an hour or something, and then he's like, I really loved your videos on Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Did I tell you this?
Yeah, I remember this story.
I never heard the story.
Did I tell you, Connor?
No, I haven't heard this story.
Okay, so I'm like, oh, I don't think that was me. And he's real adamant. He's like, no, it was. And I was like, it's not, because I've never watched that show. And so like
he's doubling down,
and he's doubling down. And but then I say that, and I just see him like collapse, and he's like, oh no, and like that's what he starts saying. Like he's really, I'm like, who? It's not a big deal. Like, who cares? You know. And then he's like, I'm so sorry, and I have to be like, no, mate, it's all right, it's fine. Like it really doesn't matter, you know. And so eventually he recovers, and he just goes, okay, I just want to say, I really love your Watson and OP series.
Which is also not from you.
No, that is Jeff too, Mother's Basement.
Mother's Basement, another anti-tuber.
Yeah. And so I'm just standing there, and I just go, thanks, man.
I think I would do the same.
That was the correct answer.
My favorite part of the whole thing is later on, he spots me at the con, and he's like, he brings his friend over, and he's like, this is the guy. And I'm like, hey, Jeff Thu. Nice to meet you. Have you guys ever had stuff like that?
Oh, all the time.
Oh,
like
yeah.
every other day. So me and Joey get like, people like confuse us all the fucking time.
Really?
Yeah,
So many times.
In fact, it like it most recently happens at Gamescom, when I was filming an official video for like a new Hoyoverse game, and the guy running the booth comes up to me and goes, oh yeah, you working with us today? I'm like, yeah. I was like, oh, I love your stuff, the anime man.
That sounds like such an unnatural way to like greet
I can't
someone.
remember exactly.
I love you, full screen.
Yeah. I was like, oh, are you the anime man? Are you here to work with us? And I'm just like, I'm not the anime man, but I am here to work with you.
My other favorite one with Gaunt and I was in Singapore, AFA, which was like back in like 2017 or something. And I was guesting there, and because, you know, Gaunt at the time was still living in Thailand, he was just like, oh yeah, I'll pop over and, you know, come hang out with you guys. So Gaunt and I were just walking around at the convention. This dude far off in the convention just like eyes me directly, and I'm like, okay, that's probably a fan. So I'm waiting for him to come over. He comes over to me and just has the biggest fucking happy face, and he just goes, oh my god, I love you, Giga. Meanwhile, Gaunt is standing right here, right next to me.
It is impressive how confident people will be about this stuff.
And I just felt
it's crazy.
I just felt so bad just being like,
There's this weird thing that happens when you show your face a lot online, where people recognize you, and they can recognize you, but they can never tell you like where they recognize you from. And that one's always the weird one. But I've also heard that I started doing this because I heard some other people were doing this too, where someone would be like, I'm a huge fan, and then you would proceed to go, name one of my videos or name something.
You're a fan? Name 5 Sea Dog videos.
Well, I was curious one time, and I was like, oh yeah, which one? And they named one of Joey's videos.
What's scary about this is probably actually really common, and we just never asked like what the video.
Probably.
Yeah, because you've probably never asked people, and they've probably been like, "I'm a huge fan," and they probably just. I mean, it's. Listen, I don't need someone to justify being a huge fan to come up to and say hi. Right?
Listen, if you're going to approach Connor, you better have your fucking shit together.
No, but just don't specifically say I am a huge fan if you are not a huge fan. No, I'm not going to ask most of the time. Like, yeah, whatever.
And like, I'd say like. You only ever tell the weird stories, right? Because like 99% of people are so lovely, but even I remember like the first fan I ever met was still one of the strangest interactions I had.
Oh, really?
I can't remember if I've told you this. You guys or not? This was like very shortly after like my face reveal. A guy came up to me and he was like, "Super Eyepatch Wolf," and I was like, "Oh, that is the name of my YouTube channel." Like I had no like flow, or I had no idea how to handle this interaction. And then he goes, "Oh man, love your videos." And then he kind of goes, "Just so you know, I'm straight," which immediately I was like, and then he just goes, and like he says it so casually, he just goes, "But I'll suck your dick."
Damn.
And I was just like,
joking?
He said it in a way that was really just like, this is not a weird thing to say at all. Right. And so I just kind of went like, well, good to know. I'm cool, but thank you for watching my videos.
I just like, you have some like the wildest stories of like some fans, considering you do like just like video essays, you know? Like I can like, I've seen obviously, you know, with some people who show their face a lot and do kind of like maybe content like ours where you get like a relationship or like a parasocial relationship. But you just fucking started talking about anime, making like cool, interesting stuff, and so you have some wild stories sometimes, which is why I was very surprised when you went to AX this year. You did not like you just did like a meet and greet in public.
It had been like pre-pandemic since the last time I'd done that, and I thought like this will go fine.
Yeah,
and it was fucking not. It's just we got moved immediately, and then immediately, and then it was a fire hazard immediately. It was I felt so bad because I was like, I said, but I think the lesson there is don't fucking do that.
Yeah, because I remember like we had our wake up call in MCM last year.
Yeah.
Because you never want to like admit that you got to be like, no, I need people to manage. Like,
yes,
we don't need security.
Yeah, I don't need like I don't need security. I don't need people to manage my fans. That's like, I'm one of them. You know, you never want to admit that you've gotten to the point where you're like, oh shit, this is beyond my control now.
Yeah, and like I think even on my way to that meetup, I was like, something doesn't feel right here. Like this might be a bad idea.
How many people showed up?
So I don't know, because the first one was shut down immediately. I didn't even get there, and so then we had to move it to a second place, and people started showing up, and it wasn't even that many people. But like one of the con workers were like, "What the fuck is this?" And then I just moved, and then had to move to a third. And like by that point, there weren't that many people because it was just like I think
you moved it 3 times.
Exactly. But
it's just a treasure hunt at that point to find you.
Yeah.
I've noticed you've been showing your face more often as well.
Yeah, I kind of just, there's more you can do, and there's more jokes you can make. Like sometimes I write a joke and I'm like, this will be funnier if you can see my face. You know. But I think part of that is just like I like trying new shit. You know, and I like just kind of,
it's respectful.
If I don't do that, I'll get bored. And I've always felt like the biggest danger to my channel, like it's not YouTube, or it's not like, you know, just weird shit you can't control. It's me losing interest, and so I have to do my best to keep it interesting for me, which is why the topics I do tend to kind of vary so much.
It's that fear of like getting into a routine, right?
That's why I stopped making the why you should watch videos that I used to make, because I was like, it got to a point where it felt like I could pull some levers and shit out of video, and I hated that. You know what I mean?
Everything's got to be a struggle.
Yeah. If I'm not in some amount of pain, I'm not doing it right.